I think the relationship between Japan and Korea improved recently, and I
Right.
think um, the view that they have of each other changed a lot throughout time, right?
Mm,
Because I think like Hallyu is a great influence in this, especially because Japanese people, I think they see Korea in a good way right now because they grew so much. So not only like of course entertainment industry, so music, dramas, movies, especially after
right.
the Academy Awards, like the entire world started looking at Korea in a different way, I think.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and they start seeing them as international, not only for a regional economy. I think in the Korean side view of
Mhm.
Japan, it's not so pink colored glasses, I suppose, because if you look back, just like July 2019, here in Korea, we had the No Japan boycott.
Right, right.
After, like, yeah, so Japan started introducing some controls to exports that were necessary for tech industry in Korea, and then it like overspilled to a lot of different areas, and um, people are not going to Japan, not buying Japanese products, and
Yeah,
every time there's something in any area related to Japan, I think this very nationalistic feeling arises in Korean people, and
yeah,
it's of course historically they had connections because they're so close to each other,
right.
but for example, food is something that is very similar in a sense. Of course, like Japanese doesn't have spicy food, but they have both eat very like fermented foods, so soy sauce
Ah,
and soybean paste and seaweed. So in Japan, they put seaweed on rice as well, like furikake they call it, and kimbap and sushi and sake and soju, all those things. But like a culture aspect speaking, I think they have similarities such as respect for elders and this kind of Confucian way of thinking. But
yeah.
also, it's important to think that Korea was the country that introduced Buddhism to Japan, and like that's a big thing.
Ah,
So,
I was not aware of that.
well, I think those cases of colonial remnants in Korea, they're everywhere, really. So, in order to consider this specific case, for example, Mokpo, it's important to take a look at other things that exist in the country. And the Myeongdong Theater, because it was built in 1934 and was also during colonial period, but it was like a very beautiful place and everyone was very popular during that time and until nowadays. But the thing is, after the independence, they were like, but this is a symbol of, this period of like repression and colonialism. What should we do about it?
Right.
And actually, the building was supposed to be demolished in 94, but then the Ministry of Culture and Tourism actually ended up buying it, acquiring the place in 2004, and it opened again in 2010 for the
Mm,
public. So I think those buildings that are remnants of the colonial time, they can be seen um, case by case, I would say. Are those things being used by Korean population nowadays? Is it bringing some value to them? If
right.
it is like teaching something about their history and how they can progress onwards, I think it's okay. If you
Yeah.
look through critical, I think we have a lot of colonial memory in Brazil, and the buildings weren't destroyed, they were kept, many of them as museums. So like
Right.
the palaces we had from the colonial times, they became museums and people go there to learn about our history. So I think it's being incorporated in this way. But of course, things related to slavery were destroyed because it doesn't make sense.